Brothers and sisters in the Dharma, students of Buddhist Sunday School, students of primary, secondary, and perhaps even tertiary education. Good morning. May you all be well and happy. We are going to have an important presentation titled Good Advice from the Wise, Life Lessons for the Young. Now, this presentation has the text in English and Chinese, but the narration together with the explanation will be in English. Now, this is a useful presentation for you to learn important life lessons so that you can live more happily and peacefully. Now, as usual, we are going to have a slide presentation where the slides will tell you the important things. That is the good advice from the wise. Now, as usual, we will launch the PowerPoint starting from the beginning. Now you see the cover slide, which has pictures generated from AI, right? And then I have the Google images which are animated. So you see that the picture shows the wise, that maybe a very learned teacher giving the wise advice. So now let us start by going to the first slide. This actually is still the cover slide. Good advice from the wise, life lessons for the young. Now let us go on. The first one, I will read and just comment a bit. Do not kill any living being. Life is sacred, a most precious thing. This actually pertains to the first precept, do not kill, or also we can say should not torture or harm any living being, because every living being treasures his or her life. And if you do not follow this precept, then you will meet with suffering, dukkha, in this life as well as in future lives. So make sure you follow this precept carefully. Now let us go on to the next one. To all beings, show love and kindness. This brings you and others happiness. Now, this pertains to metta, which is loving kindness. Now, not only do you not kill, but you should also practice metta, which is loving kindness and compassion. And this actually will bring you joyful feelings, and also others will feel happy when you radiate loving kindness to them. So that is also a very important bit of advice for you to practice. This is the meditation on loving kindness, metta bhavana, or you can say radiation of loving kindness to yourself, your family members, friends, teachers, and all beings actually, including the animals and the spirits. And there are 11 benefits actually if you can practice this meditation on loving kindness. Now let us go on to the next one. Do not take what belongs to another. When tempted to steal or cheat, say never. That is rhyming. Now, this is quite important, that you must follow the second precept, which is do not steal, right? That is very important, isn't it? Do not steal. And if sometimes you are tempted to take things that do not belong to you, or which are not given, things which are not given, then actually you should resist the temptation. Otherwise, you break the second precept, which is not stealing or not taking what is not given. Taking what is not given to you will be a break of the second precept. And you also don't like people to steal things from you, isn't it? So a breaking of the second precept of stealing will have dukkha or suffering following you in this life. You may be caught by the police, right? Or, and also you can actually face with dukkha the next life or future lives, may be born into poor families and so on. So that is this slide number 5. Now let us go on to the next one. Practice charity and generosity. This will make your mind joyful and happy. Now, this is also very important. Not only do you not steal, actually people steal sometimes out of greed, due to the temptation. They want more things, don't realize that if people were to steal from you, you also would not be happy, isn't it? So very important, you actually practice the opposite, which means that instead of stealing, you give, you do dana, you serve, you practice charity, you help others. So when you do this deed, it will actually bring you good karmic result because there's a positive action, and you will actually feel happy if you do this, what we call dana lah. Dana translates as charity, generosity, giving, serving other people in various ways. So this is a very important bit of advice. So this is slide number 6. Now let us go on to slide number 7. Sexual misconduct you must not commit. You will pay for this unwholesome deed. Now, of course, if you are just maybe a young child, standard 1, standard 2, you may be not so familiar with sexual misconduct. But nowadays, even primary students, standard 5, standard 6, they commit sexual misconduct, like molesting girls, for the boys, or the girls even molesting the boys. So that is not a good action. And we have even primary 6, I think, primary 6 or Form 1 students, having sex, by force, with another person, like a standard 6 or Form 1 boy, raping another person, a girl. So this is terrible, isn't it? So you must not have this sexual misconduct. So this is breaking actually what we call the third precept. Now let us go on to the next one, which is slide number 8. Now, slide number 8, practice contentment of the mind. Respect others' rights all the time. Now, contentment, that means wasati lah, right? It's very important. Now, people who are greedy or, having unwholesome desires are not contented in the mind. So they, like for the third precept, they molest another person, a boy molesting the girl, or the girl molesting the boy. Because the mind is unwholesome, filled with desires of lust or greed. Whereas if you are contented, and then you know that there are things you should not do, you have so many good things already, so you get contentment, which is a very positive thing. And then also you must know you must know how to respect other people's rights. You should not disturb another person, which may be a criminal action also. So you must respect other people. That is slide number 8. Now we come to slide number 9. This reads as follows. Refrain from deceit and lying. Lying and deceit cause suffering. Now, lying, of course, you know, is an unwholesome action. It is breaking the fourth precept. The fourth precept, usually you also chant in Pali, isn't it? And you undertake the precept not to lie. When you lie with the intention of gaining something, then that is bad karma. Now, some business people you find lie also. And nowadays, you have many con men and also scammers, People use the internet to lie and cheat so that people fall into their traps, and then they get the money lah. They con you or scam you, that sort of thing, that is actually generating bad karma. You are cheating people, you are telling lies. So this cause suffering to the victims, isn't it? They lose the money, for example. Now, the people who break this precept of lying and cheating and so on actually have committed bad karma. That they can be caught by the police, or if they escape, it's a matter of time before they will face with the dukkha. Sometimes it's in this life or future lives also. You can be born into situations where people always cheat you, lie to you, and cause you much suffering. Usually, you would not want people to lie and to you to get certain things out of you, to cheat you. So therefore, you must also not do this. Uh, so that is a very important precept in Dhamma practice. So remember this. So that is slide number 9. Now let us go on to slide number 10. This is the opposite of just now what we did. That means must always speak the truth. Practice speech of truthfulness. Opposite is lying, but this one now, you always tell the truth. Always speak with mindfulness. This is an important thing, which means that you must always be aware of what you are thinking, what you intend to speak, and what you do. This is being aware. This is paying attention to your mind, moment to moment, and you know what is going on in your mind, what you intend to do. If you have the bad intention of lying and cheating, then you must put a break. Stop doing that because it generates bad karma. So you are mindful of whatever you do, then you also know that it's very important to speak the truth, so you can practice this, speaking the truth. And mindfulness, being aware of all the things that happen in your mind when you are speaking or when you are doing certain things, is a very important thing to know what is happening moment to moment. So that is slide number 10. Now let us go on to the next one. Slide number 11 now. Do not slander your fellow beings. Slandering hurts and brings suffering. This is actually part of the right speech. Now, actually, the fourth precept that you usually chant talks about lying, but actually it's more than that, actually. There's another part of right speech, which is talking bad about other people. Tale carrying, having malicious speech, causing people to be in disharmony. You talk bad about other people. So we must not talk bad, carry tales. carry tales from one to another, cause two people to quarrel or two groups to fall into disharmony. This actually hurt other people, of course. When people quarrel because of your slandering, talking the malicious speech, that is not good, you see. Tale tale bearer. So that is something you have to be careful about. So this is slandering, talking bad about other people and causing quarrels, even fights and disharmony between two people or two groups. So this is actually breaking the precept also, under the right speech. Now let us go on to slide number 12. Now slide number 12 is the opposite of what we said just now. So you don't, use slanders, you don't use malicious speech that cause people to quarrel and fight. Instead, you always speak words of harmony, words that bring two people or two groups of people together and in harmony, which means words of goodness. So that will help to promote happiness, isn't it? Among people, between two people, or even between groups of people. And today you find there's so much conflict because people simply say things, break the precept of speech, and then cause people to quarrel, especially, speaking terrible things about another party, and then that party believes it. And so anger, hatred arise, and conflicts or even fighting wars, all this happen. So remember, always use words that make people come into harmony, and these are good words. So remember this very important thing. So that is number 12. Now let us go on to number 13. Refrain from speech that is harsh and hurting. You too won't like words that cause suffering. This is also part of the right speech, right? And of course, when you chant, you just chant the no lying precept. But actually, you extend it, it's more than that, which means that we must not use bad language, harsh speech, harsh words that can hurt the feelings of others. Now, you find today, many people do that. They shout at another person, all right? They curse and condemn another person. And this brings hurt, suffering to another person, or even to a group of people when that person, uh, uses terrible scolding and very bad words, right? Rough speech. And this hurt other people, cause people to suffer. Now, if people were to speak like this to you, you too won't like this type of speech, isn't it? Rough speech, harsh words, using bad words, cause people to feel real discomfort, to cause people to have suffering. So when you want to do certain things, you reflect with mindfulness. This will cause harm to others. I too would not want this. Then you have a break, you see. So you will be careful and you don't use harsh words. So this is slide number 13. Now let us go on to the next one. This is the opposite of what we said just now. What should we do? We should speak words that are gentle and kind. Speak words that are good for the mind. A very good example is words of loving kindness. Like, for example, you talk to a person who has problems, then you are very gentle, no shouting or no raising the voice, but words which are full of metta, loving kindness. Just as when you pay a visit to a sick person in the hospital, and you, apart from reading metta and you use very kind words, gentle, in a very pleasant voice, surely that person will feel very good, isn't it? So you are doing something good. This you must train so that you are always like that. Words that bring peace, happiness, joy to another person. This is a very good bit of advice from the wise. So make sure you try to practice this. Now let us go on to the next one. This is also part of the right speech. Do not indulge in gossip. This can bring pain and hardship. Now, gossip means useless, frivolous talk. Like, for example, people will just, talk nonsense things and even spread rumors. And this wastes the time of the person who is speaking and also other people's time, you see. And the worst thing is they gossip, so and so like that. And this person has done terrible things, always pointing the fingers at other people, but don't realize that they themselves also have the weaknesses. So just go on wasting time, frivolous, useless, non-beneficial talk. And the worst thing is, of course, many things that is gossip about are not true. And this spread as rumors and cause trouble to other people. And then you can actually get into trouble. Like, see people use Facebook and do a lot of gossiping and frivolous talk and spreading rumors even. Actually, spread rumors, it can be charged, because especially if the rumors flout the laws, go against the laws. So this you should avoid, right? So that is actually part of the right speech. Now you do the opposite lah. Practice speech that brings benefit. You will help promote peace indeed. So many people don't do that. They like to criticize, they like to condemn and curse other people, scold other people, instead of using speech that can bring benefit to people, especially when you talk about the Dhamma, the good things that people can learn from the Buddha's teachings. And they can feel more peaceful, less worried, and then their wisdom grows. So this is a very important thing, isn't it? Benefit can come in various ways. They become more wise, right? And then they are consoled and they can understand how to cope with their problems. So the best type of speech is speech based on Dhamma. There are many, many benefits when you speak or try to share the Dhamma teachings. This will bring states of peacefulness. Wisdom in another party can grow. They can cope better with the dukkha that prevails in the world. So this is a very good bit of advice from the wise. Now let us go on to slide number 17. Do not be conquered by greed. This wise advice you must heed. Now we come to things pertaining to the mind. And one of the three mental poisons is greed. After we look at another two. Now, if the mind is filled with greed, unwholesome desires, attachment to things, wanting this, wanting that, which are not really wholesome. Some want to steal, you see, the greed for other people's possessions. So this wise advice you must heed. A person who is conquered by greed or what we call lobha in Pali will face with suffering in this life and also future lives. Now, today you hear of so many people because of the greed, so they cheat, like scandals, uh, and people conning others, scamming, actually based on this mental poison or rising out of the mental poison of loba or even raga. Raga is lust, right? So this will definitely cause you to use wrong speech, like lying because you want to do something like cheating or con people because it starts with the mind of greed, isn't it? So you have to be very mindful and watch what is in the mind. If there's a state of greed, then you must take steps to cut or remove that state of greed from the mind. Now, that is slide number 17. Now we go to slide number 18 now. Be generous towards the needy. There's much joy in generosity. Now you find that all these are in couplet form. They are rhyming with rhythm, so it reads well. But then it's nice to hear, in other words. But when you translate to Chinese, you will lose this effect of the rhyming already because it's English rhymes. Now, this is actually dana again, as we have said. So instead of practicing greed, you should practice the opposite, being very generous, liking to do dana with a dana heart and mind, you can say that you have compassion and metta for people who are unfortunate. They are the needy ones requiring help in various ways, maybe donation or food or clothing or even just kind words, consoling them, serving them when they cannot do certain things. So many ways of dana. And when you practice this, you find this dana, right, which is translated as generosity or giving or charity, there will arise in you a very good state of mind, happiness, joy, and peace. And this is to develop your mind. So you can see that this is a very important bit of advice from the wise that you should heed or should follow. Now let us go on to slide number 19 now. This also pertains to the mental state of the second mental poison, which is dosa. And dosa translates as hatred or even anger, aversion, ill will, dislike. All those negative states of mind, you have to be careful, come under the dosa. So now, don't ever be hateful or angry. Hate and anger lead to misery, to real pain and suffering. Now, when you are very angry or you are very hateful, wanting to take revenge, are you happy? Is the mental state good? Is it peaceful? No. It will be very, very painful, isn't it? And you are suffering actually. But some people cannot control because they have not been practicing like metta and watching the mind, mindfulness. So they are very short-tempered, get angry easily. And if you don't check this will generate bad karma. Because from the mental state of dosa or anger or hate, then what happens next? The speech that comes out will be terrible. Shouting at a person because of his anger or scolding that person and can even bring about a fight. He might, bully or he might even punch the other person. So this is very dangerous. So a person who is short-tempered or always full of hateful thoughts or wanting to take revenge or bully other people, you have to be careful. Otherwise, you are generating bad karma through the mind door, through the mind first. Then it leads on to the speech, wrong speech, and then it leads on to the wrong action, the body committing the wrong actions. Maybe uh, hitting another person, torturing another person, killing another person, or all sorts of things you can do. Uh, so you have to take steps to watch your mind and check this particular mental state, a mental poison of dosa or greed, or hate and anger. Now let us go on to slide number 20. Now actually one very good way to check this or to conquer this mental poison of dosa, which is anger and hatred, anger, is to practice metta. That means here we have to cultivate more love and kindness to all bring peace and happiness. This is what you should aim at. Then over time, if you practice your metta bhavana meditation on loving kindness, then you find that you begin to experience peace within yourself. You become less angry, less hateful already. You have loving kindness, compassion for yourself also and for others. And you will be going towards very great mental state, a mental state of metta, loving kindness. So many people don't do this. So their whole lives, they are always full of temper and anger and hate and wanting to bully and all those things. And these generate lots and lots of bad karma, which will give you suffering, not only in this life, that possible, because of the dosa or the anger and hatred, then they commit terrible things like killing another person. Then, of course, you can be nabbed and jailed or even sentenced to death. So you see how important it is to check this mental poison of anger and hatred. And a very powerful weapon is metta. All right, cultivate metta. Practice the loving kindness. Of course, you have to learn. I've actually done postings, and actually, there are 11 benefits. If you practice this meditation of loving kindness, spreading love and kindness to yourself, to family members, and to other people. So you can see how powerful this tool is to conquer dosa, anger, and hatred. Now, let us go on to 21. Cut your ego and cut your pride. Then pain will be cast aside. Now, one of the root causes of dukkha is this state of mind we call delusion. And this delusion, that means not knowing the right or wise things to do, but instead having the wrong view, right? Believing in things which are not good, which are superstitious. And this is tied up with what we call the ego self, that you're thinking highly of yourself, self-pride, the feeling that you have, wow, a very strong self, you thinking that I am great, I can know this, I can do this. So this sort of ego self inside us will bring about a lot of problems, dukkha to you. You see, the happy people are the people who are humble, who are not egoistic, who serve other people selflessly. They never think of the self like this. They just serve other people out of love, kindness, and compassion. And these are the truly happy people. So if you suffer from this sort of defilement, actually it's delusion of being very proud and ego, thinking highly of yourself. And then because of that, it manifests out in your speech, comes out through your speech because you are very proud. Egoistic. If somebody says something you don't like, you blast away with the terrible speech already. Or you might even do certain actions of the body which are unwholesome, like hitting the other person, right? Or giving the person terrible karate kick or don't know what, taekwondo kick or what, meaning to hurt the person. So you can see this ego is a terrible thing. So you must practice to cut this ego, self, and pride, and being very humble, being very kind. Then you will be able to lessen a lot of pain and suffering that you're going to face because of this ego inside a person. So this is a very important thing. Now let us go on to slide number 22. Now, slide number 22 actually is the opposite of what we said just now. Practice the virtue. Virtue means the good moral practice, the good moral value, I can say. Of humility. Humility, being humble, is opposite to the dukkha. So you can see that it is a very important practice to be humble. And this, sometimes you are not aware. You cannot take control of yourself, of your mind. Right? So you get into the terrible habit already of being very boastful, being egoistic, being very proud. So you have to again apply mindfulness to watch the mind and to know what is happening moment to moment in your mind, in your speech before you speak, and also in your action before you do. So you see, things all start with the mind. So that's why you find the last few slides are all pertain to the mind. So this is the opposite of being ego. So what you should do, you should make it a practice always to help and serve others selflessly. So when you are able to do this, then you see changes in your life. You become more peaceful, more happy. That is this very important thing to conquer the third mental poison. You know, the first mental poison is greed. The second one actually is hatred, anger. In Pali is loba, and then the second one, dosa. The first one also you can say is raga, which means the lust for unwholesome things. Then the second one, dosa, covers the hatred, anger, ill will, enmity, aversion, right? Aversion, dislike, all those things are not wholesome states. So you see that these three mental poisons, just now I not yet, the third one I haven't talked to you yet. The third one actually is delusion. That's why you always hear, be careful, the three mental poisons will cause your downfall and bring you lots of suffering, and then you have bad reverse. People tell you that. And what are the three mental poisons? Loba, dosa, moha. Moha translates as delusion, having the wrong view. And this wrong view also connected with this ego, you see. And of course, the wrong view connected with another thing we call ignorance, not knowing the true things as they really are. Having the wrong view, that is delusion. So this is the slide 22. Now we come to the last one already. This is the last slide already, and it sums up things. You see, we say here, heed good advice. Heed means to follow, to pay attention to, and to follow, and use the good advice in your life so that you can improve and be more peaceful, happy, and more wise in your life. And isn't that wonderful? So you see that this presentation is a very important thing, not only actually for children or students. I think it should be applied to all people, because even adults also have all those unwholesome things that we have already covered there. Right? So this is actually suitable for all. That's why it's dedicated to even the parents, teachers, grandparents, and all people who are following this, to teach the young people and also to practice themselves, because you can't really teach other people if you yourself don't set the good example. So now we have come to the end of this presentation already. So before we say sadhu 3 times, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, boys and girls, students of primary, secondary, or tertiary education. In fact, to all people who have been following this presentation. Now you have taken time and put in energy, effort to follow this presentation from the beginning to the end. So sadhu for being very patient and expending your energy to follow this. So thank you and sadhu. So now to conclude, let us put our palms together, and as usual, we will say sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. To all, young and old, who have been following this presentation, may you all be well, happy, peaceful, and may you always follow the true Dharma so that you will be more happy, more peaceful, more wise in your life. Take care.